Good evening, tennis fans, and welcome to what might be the most electrifying post-match breakdown we have ever done on this channel. If you're looking for a quick scoreline, you are in the wrong place. But if you want to understand how the landscape of Asian tennis just shifted beneath our feet, how a single match in Auckland became a microcosm for the future of the WTA Tour, and why the names Alexandra Eala and Wang will be linked in history books for years to come, then strap in. Because what we witnessed at the ASB Classic semifinals wasn't just a tennis match. It was a war of attrition. It was a psychological thriller. It was a 3-hour opera of violence and artistry that left the entire tennis world stunned, breathless, and frankly, begging for more. We are talking, of course, about the ASB Classic semifinal showdown between the pride of the Philippines, Alexandra Eala, and the Chinese rising phenomenon, Wang. The headline is simple: shock. But the story is infinitely more complex. Let's set the stage before we even touch a ball. The ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand, is often seen as a warm-up, a polite appetizer before the feast of the Australian Open. It's where players go to shake off the rust, find their rhythm, and enjoy the summer sun. But nobody told Alex Eala and Wang that. They didn't treat this as a warm-up. They treated the center court of the Manuka Doctor Arena like it was the Colosseum of Rome. The final scoreline will tell you that Wang won 5-7, 7-5, 6-4. But that scoreline is a liar. It does not tell you that Eala was down 1-5 in the first set, looking completely outmatched, before reeling off 6 consecutive games in a display of resilience that bordered on the supernatural. It does not tell you that Eala had the match on her racket in the second set, serving for a spot in her first-ever WTA 250 final, holding a match point that would have sent the Philippines into a national holiday. It does not tell you about the silence that fell over the stadium when that match point sailed long, or the guttural roar from Wang as she clawed her way back from the brink of extinction. This match had everything. It had the dizzying highs of a comeback that shouldn't have been possible. It had the crushing, suffocating lows of a victory snatched away at the 11th hour. It had a medical timeout, a physical collapse, a resurrection from 0 to 4 down in decider, and a crowd atmosphere that veteran commentators are calling the loudest they have ever heard in Auckland. We are talking about hundreds of Filipino fans turning the stadium into a cauldron of noise, a wall of sound that seemed to physically lift Eala off the ground when her legs were failing her. And on the other side, we saw the icy, steely resolve of Wang, a player who looked into the abyss, saw her tournament ending, and simply refused to blink. Why does this matter? Why are we dedicating this much time to a 250-level semifinal? Because this match is the proof of concept for the next generation. For years, we have heard about the potential of Alex Eala. We watched her win the U.S. Open Juniors. We watched her grind through the ITF circuit. We watched her break the top 100. But there's always that question mark. Can she do it against the big hitters? Can she stand toe-to-toe with a top 30 talent like Wang, a player who hits the ball with the kind of pace that usually knocks juniors off the court? The answer we got in Auckland was a resounding yes, but it came with a heartbreaking asterisk. Eala proved she belongs. She proved she has the hands, the mind, and the heart of a champion. But Wang proved something else. That experience, that extra layer of callousness developed on the main tour, is the difference between winning a match and almost winning a match. This was a clash of styles, a clash of nations, and a clash of wills. On one side, you had the lefty craftiness of Eala, changing spins, using angles, fighting for every scrap of court. On the other, the relentless, flat-hitting power of Wang, a player who tries to hit through you, not around you. When these two forces collided, it produced a spark that ignited the entire tournament. The whole WTA shocked, headline isn't clickbait. The locker room was watching this. When a match goes 3 hours with this level of intensity in the first week of January, it sends a message. It tells the rest of the tour that the level has gone up. It tells the top seeds that there are no easy draws anymore. If you draw Eala in the first round of a slam, you are in for a dogfight. If you draw Wang, you better be ready to run for 3 hours. In this broadcast, we're going deep. We're going to break down the anatomy of the choke, the anatomy of the comeback, and the anatomy of the kill. We will look at the 1-5 turnaround in the first set. How did Eala do it? What tactical adjustment did she make to neutralize Wang's backhand? We will dissect the tragedy of the second set. How does a player lose from 5 to 3 up with a match point? Was it nerves? Was it brilliance from Wang? And we will look at the third set, the physical toll, the injury scare, and the refusal to die. We will also talk about the crowd. You cannot tell the story of this match without talking about the Wairua, the spirit that was present in Auckland. The energy was palpable through the screens. It felt like a Davis Cup tie. It felt like a Fed Cup final. It was tribal, and it elevated the tennis to a place where it became pure drama. So, do not go anywhere. If you're a fan of tennis, if you are a fan of sport, if you are a fan of the human spirit pushing itself to the absolute limit, this is a story you need to hear. This is the breakdown of Alexandra Eala versus Wang Xiyu, the match that woke up the 2026 season. Let's dive in. The context here is vital. To understand the violence of this match, you have to understand trajectories of the two combatants entering the arena. On one side, we have Alexandra Eala. She entered 2026 carrying the weight of a nation. The Philippines have been waiting for a global tennis superstar, and Eala has been shouldering that expectation since she was a teenager at the Rafa Nadal Academy. 2025 was her breakthrough year. She cracked the top 100, she won her first SEA Games gold, and she started beating players she used to lose to. She came into Auckland ranked 53rd in the world. That number is important. It means she's no longer a qualifier. She's a main draw threat. She beat Magda Linette in the quarterfinals in straight sets, a massive confidence booster. She was playing with house money, but she was also playing with a new kind of pressure, the pressure of expectation. On the other side, Wang Xiyu. At 24 years old, she is entering her prime, ranked around number 30, seeded 7th. She is the established power. She is the benchmark. She's a former Grand Slam doubles champion. She knows what the big stages feel like. She hits a heavy, flat ball that skids through court, perfect for the hard courts of Auckland. She wasn't the underdog here. She was the gatekeeper. The match began, and immediately, it looked like the gatekeeper was going to slam the door shut. Let's look at the first 30 minutes. It was a massacre. Wang came out firing. She was targeting the Eala serve, stepping inside the baseline, and ripping returns. Eala looked shell-shocked. The pace was too high. The balls were coming back too fast. Before the crowd could even settle into their seats, Wang was up 5-1. At 5-1, most matches are over. The commentators start talking about the next match. The fans start checking their phones. In the modern game, with the serving power available, coming back from a double break deficit is statistically nearly impossible. Eala was missing her spots. Her lefty forehand, usually her weapon, was landing short, sitting up for Wang to crush. But then, something shifted, and this is where the genius of Eala's fighting spirit comes in. At 1-5, she didn't try to hit harder. She didn't try to outpower Wang, which would have been suicide. She slowed it down. She started using the slice. She started looping the ball high to Wang's backhand, forcing the Chinese star to generate her own pace from shoulder height, which is uncomfortable for a flat hitter. Eala held for 2-5. A ripple of applause. Wang served for the set. She got tight. A double fault. An unforced error into the net. Eala broke. 3-5. Now the crowd woke up. The Filipino contingent, sensing a pulse, started the chant. Let's go, Alex. Eala held again. 4-5. The pressure transferred instantly. Serving for a set is the hardest thing to do when you've had a massive lead, because your brain starts asking, why haven't I won yet? Wang served for the set a second time, and Eala went into lockdown mode. She refused to miss. She became a backboard. She scrambled. She slid. She hit a passing shot on the run that clipped the line. She broke again. 5-5. From 1-5 down, Eala had leveled the set. The momentum shift was so violent, you could almost feel the wind change in the stadium. Wang was rattling. She was looking at her box, arms wide, asking what happened. Eala was hopping on her toes, eyes locked forward. She held for 6-5. Wang, now serving to stay in a set she should have won 20 minutes ago, crumbled under the relentless pressure of Eala's defense. Eala broke for the third time in a row. 7-5 to Alexandra Eala. She reeled off 6 consecutive games. It was a masterclass in problem solving. It was a theft. She stole that set right out of Wang's pocket. If the first set was a miracle, the second set was a tragedy. Eala rode that wave of momentum. She was playing beautiful tennis now. Her confidence was sky high. She was dictating play with her forehand, moving Wang side to side. Wang, to her credit, stabilized. She stopped the bleeding. The quality of tennis in the middle of the second set was Grand Slam level. Both women were hitting lines, serving aces, constructing points with brutal efficiency. They traded blows until the business end. Eala broke to go up 5-3. Here we are, the moment of truth. Alexandra Eala, serving for the match. Serving for a place in the final against Alina Svitolina. Serving to beat a top 30 player. She stepped up to the line. The crowd was deafening. But closing a match is different from playing a match. The arm gets heavy. The toss gets a little lower. The feet get a little slower. Eala got to match point. 1 point. 1 point away from the headline, Eala reaches final. She served. Wang returned deep. They rallied. Eala had a look at a forehand down the line. A shot she makes 7 times out of 10. She went for it. She tried to paint the line. The crowd gasped. It sailed wide. Just wide. Maybe an inch. That inch changed history. Wang saved the match point. And you could see the release of tension in Wang's body. She had survived the bullet. She started swinging freely again. She broke back. 5-4. Now the demons were in Eala's head. I had it. I lost it. That thought is a poison. Wang held for 5-5. The momentum had swung back again. Eala, visibly frustrated, tried to force the issue in her next service game. She overhit. She pressed. Wang, sensing blood, pounced. She broke Eala to go up 6-5. Wang served out to set 7-5. From match point down, she forced a decider. We enter the third set. We are 2 hours in. The sun is beating down. Both players are drenched in sweat. But the physical toll was starting to show on Eala. The emotional crash of losing the second set, combined with the physical exertion to come back in the first, hit her like a truck. She came out flat. Her legs were heavy. Wang, buoyed by her escape, was ruthless. She saw the wounded animal, and she attacked. Wang went up 1-0, then 2-0, then 3-0. Eala called for the trainer. A medical timeout. It looked like a back issue, or maybe cramping. The physio worked on her. The crowd went silent. Was this how it was going to end? A retirement? A fade out? Eala stood up. She went back to the baseline. She lost the next game. 0-4. It looked done. Wang was cruising. The crowd, though still supportive, had quieted down, resigned to the result. But Alexandra Eala does not know how to tank a match. Even on one leg, even with her heart broken from the second set, she started swinging. She held serve. 1-4, a polite cheer. Then she broke Wang. 2-4, the cheer got louder. She held again. 3-4. Suddenly, the ghost of first set returned. Wang was looking across the net thinking, is she doing it again? Is she really doing this again? Wang served at 4-3. Eala played a game of pure instinct. She was ripping winners from defensive positions. She broke Wang. 4-4. From 0-4 down in the third, Eala had leveled it. The stadium was shaking. It was bedlam. People were standing on their seats. It was 4-4 in the third set of semifinal that had already seen a 1-5 comeback and a saved match point. You could not script this drama. But tennis is a cruel sport. It demands perfection at the very end. Eala, having expended every last ounce of energy to get back to 4-4, finally ran empty. Serving at 4-4, her legs just didn't have the drive. Her serve speed dropped. Wang, showing the experience of a top 30 player, stayed calm. She didn't panic this time. She waited for the short ball, and she put away. She broke for 5-4. Wang served for the match. This time, there was no mistake. She closed it out. 6-4 in the third. When the final ball landed out, the two women met at the net. The handshake was respectful, lingering. They knew what they had just produced. Wang Xiyu looked relieved, almost exhausted by the effort it took to put away the 20-year-old Filipino. Eala looked devastated, burying her face in her towel as she walked off. But let's analyze what this actually means. First, let's talk about Wang Xiyu. This was a champion's performance. Not because she played perfectly. She didn't. She blew a 5-1 lead. She almost lost in straight sets. But champions are defined by how they play when they are playing badly or when things are going wrong. Saving a match point and then winning the match is a hallmark of a player with supreme mental toughness. She trusted her shots when she was on the precipice. That backhand down the line she hit to save the match point, that is a top 10 shot. For Alexandra Eala, this is a good loss. I know, no athlete wants to hear that. It stings. It hurts to be that close to a final. But look at the data. She went toe-to-toe with a top 30 player for 3 hours. She physically matched her. She mentally out-toughed her for large stretches. The 1-5 comeback in the first set is proof that Eala has the clutch gene. You cannot teach that. You either have the fight in you or you don't. Eala has it in spades. The technical breakdown showed us that Eala's forehand has become a legitimate weapon on the WTA Tour. It's heavy, it's lefty, and it opens up the court. Her weakness, if we had to pick one, was the serve percentage in the crunch moments of the third set. When the legs went, the serve went. That is something her team at the Rafa Nadal Academy will work on, building that endurance, so the serve stays potent in hour 3. But the biggest takeaway from this deep dive is the rivalry potential. These two will play again. They are the future of Asian tennis. Wang the power hitter, Eala the tactical fighter. It's the classic fire versus ice dynamic. And if this first meeting was any indication, their next match is must-watch TV. We also have to mention the crowd factor again. The support for Eala in Auckland was unprecedented. It shows that she is becoming a global star. She puts bums in seats. She brings noise. The WTA needs players like this. Players who ignite passion. So, while Eala leaves Auckland with a loss, she leaves with something more valuable, respect. The locker room knows now. The tour knows. You don't want to play Alex Eala. And Wang Xiyu moves to the final, battle-hardened, having survived a test that would have broken lesser players. So, where do we go from here? The dust settles in the Manuka Doctor Arena, but the reverberations of this match will be felt throughout the season. For Wang Xiyu, the path is clear. She moves into the final to face Alina Svitolina. She will be tired. Yes, 3 hours on a hard court takes a toll, but she will also be incredibly dangerous. Surviving a match like this gives you a kind of armor. You feel invincible. You feel like destiny is on your side. If she can recover physically, do not bet against her lifting the trophy. She has proven she can stare down defeat and win. For Alexandra Eala, the immediate feeling will be pain. So close yet so far, as she posted on her Instagram. That match point will replay in her mind tonight. It will replay in her mind on the flight to Melbourne. But once the sting fades, she will see the bigger picture. She just started her 2026 season by almost making a final. She defended her points. She showed top-tier level. The Australian Open is next. And let me tell you, nobody in the draw wants to see Eala next to their name in the first round. She is coming in hot. She is coming in hungry. And she is coming in with the knowledge that she can dominate a top 30 player for stretches of a match. This semifinal was a reminder of why we watch sports. We watch for the unpredictability. We watch for the human element, the nerves, the courage, the exhaustion. We watch the moments where a 1-5 deficit turns into a 7-5 win. We watch the moments where a match point sails 1 inch wide and changes history. Alexandra Eala versus Wang Xiyu at the ASB Classic 2026 was an instant classic. It was a heart stopper. And it was just the beginning for both of these incredible women. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We don't just skim the surface here. We go to the bottom of the ocean to find the story. If you enjoyed this analysis, if you felt the tension of that third set just by listening, then we have done our job. Keep your eyes on the Australian Open. Keep your eyes on Alexandra Eala. And keep your eyes on the rising power of Asian tennis. Because if Auckland was any indication, 2026 is going to be an absolute blockbuster year.